Hi, welcome back to McMorris Prosthetic Services. Today, because of the situation with the channel and everything, I'm kind of going through and redoing a lot of old videos and then adding, new videos in while we sprinkle them in. I think I'm going to try to do 2 a week, at least for the next little bit, and see how it goes. But I wanted to start today with talking about the importance of physical therapy, which I've talked about a bunch, but again, most of that is gone. I've seen a lot of people that I've been fortunate to work with over the last 10 years, that are, the perspective of PT and if you need physical therapy is always different. And a lot of people understand, like, yes, you're learning how to walk again with a new device that you don't have control of as your foot, or your knee or your hip, or depending on your amputation. And so it's important to get physical therapy. But then I also, here in Utah, like, I've had some interactions with guys that are like just some tough old guys, and I don't need that, man. I'm BK. I'm gonna be fine. And then, a lot of times that will lead to more issues down the road. And that's really the importance of physical therapy is yeah, could you get by using a prosthetic and make things work for yourself? Yeah, for sure. For sure. Anybody could. I mean, being a prosthetic user is 95% about your desire to be a successful user, and then the rest comes from PT and everything else. And so it is possible. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but typically what happens when you don't go to physical therapy is you start to develop worse habits. You start to overcompensate in ways that you don't really even necessarily understand what you're doing or how you're doing it, and then those things compound and stack and lead to more issues down the road. And so, like, for me, when I first lost my leg, the doctors took the whole left side of my abs out of my stomach and put those down into my leg to rebuild my muscle before we amputated. And then we amputated, and so those muscles are gone too. And so on the left side of my abdomen, I'm really weak still now, even 12 years later, because your abs grow in layers. They took most of my layers. But then when I would go to PT, when I first started walking, I would like stand. I like couldn't hold myself up straight. It took so much for me to learn how to engage my core, how to orient my pelvis correctly. Like, how many of us understand able-bodied wise? How many able-bodied people out there understand, like, okay, I can orient my pelvis in different ways, which will alleviate, if I'm walking with my pelvis oriented a certain way, I could be creating back pain or different types of things. And so understanding that was really important for me. And it also, hammered home how important my core strength was. And that's another thing that I see a lot with new users is a lot of times they ask me, like, hey, I'm like getting ready to get my leg, and I've been hitting the like bike so hard so that my other leg is strong. And once I get my leg, I'm doing the cycling, so I'm like always working my legs, and that's great. And like getting cardio is great. All that is awesome for sure. But for those that are like struggling with balance and things like that, that comes from your core. Everything comes from your core in general. And then once you are missing a limb, it's magnified. Everything is coming from your core. Your strength is from your core. Your balance is from your core. Your coordination, all of that is coming from your core strength. And so you have to work your core. And a lot of times those same people that are like, I go down to the rehab unit and I get on the bike and I do a half hour on the bike, and again, that's awesome. But like, when you go back to your room, ask the PT for some exercises you can do in the bed. Or yeah, when you go to PT, ask them, hey, I know I'm walking a ton and that's all great, but when I go home, I take my leg off and I'm laying down for half the day, especially in those first 6 months, if not more. And so get something that you can do while laying in bed, because again, like, your core is everything. And at least for me, like, I notice when my balance starts slipping, or when I have some other issues going on, like I get hip pain or back pain or whatever it is, it's usually because I've started to get lazy in my gait and there's something I need to adjust in my gait. Maybe that is my prosthetic specifically. Maybe I need an adjustment with alignment. Maybe I need an adjustment with height, something like that. But it also could be maybe I've just been vaulting and overcompensating on my left side way too much, and I don't need to do that. I can calm down and relax and allow my devices to do the work for me and things like that. But you don't really know how to diagnose any of those problems if you don't go to PT. And so that's really the value of PT is learning how to do things correctly and safely, but really you start to understand your body on such a different level. And for me, that's a big pro of amputation, which I know is probably difficult for some to hear, but for me, a pro of amputation is that I've learned my body way better than I ever knew it before I lost my leg. I understand how my body works. I understand when things are wrongs, and I often know how to solve problems for myself because I understand gait and I understand how to solve those gait issues, and so that benefits me quite a bit in my daily life. And so PT is important, and outside of the physical things, a lot of times when you're going to PT, it's early on after your amputation, and it's nice to have somewhere to go. It's nice to have something to do. And for me, I started going to PT and started, that's where I started my career really, was talking to other amputees in the lobby and working with my therapist Spencer and doing projects with him and starting a support group with him and doing all of those things. All of it came, really all of my life now, where I'm at now, started because I went to PT and where my PT was at, what hospital I was taken to, and everything else. So I'm very fortunate. But physical therapy is very important, and it's needed. So if you're a new amputee out there thinking I don't need physical therapy, you do need physical therapy, and I would recommend it 10 times out of 10 to anyone. So yeah, that's it for our PT discussion this week. We'll see you next time.